Welcome to Learn English with me, Fizz. Tonight, we are going to explore one of the greatest mysteries in human history, a question that has fascinated people for thousands of years. Are ghosts real? Some people strongly believe they are. They say ghosts are the spirits of those who have died but never truly left this world. Others completely disagree. They believe every ghost story has a logical explanation and that fear, darkness, stress, and the human mind can easily create experiences that feel real even when they are not. So, who is right? The truth is that no one has been able to answer this question with complete certainty. Even in today's modern world, where science and technology have reached incredible heights, the mystery of ghosts continues to exist. Every year, thousands of people from different countries report strange experiences they cannot explain. Some claim they have seen shadowy figures walking through empty rooms. Others say they heard footsteps in abandoned buildings, mysterious whispers in silent places, or felt an invisible presence standing close to them. Are these real paranormal experiences, or are they simply the result of the human brain trying to understand something unusual? In this series, we are not here to convince you that ghosts exist, and we are not here to tell you they are only myths. Instead, we will carefully explore both sides of the mystery. We will look at history, science, psychology, eyewitness accounts, famous investigations, and stories that continue to puzzle researchers even today. By the end, you can decide for yourself what you believe. Before we begin, imagine that you are sitting alone in your house late at night. The lights are off, the streets outside are completely quiet, and the only sound you can hear is the ticking of a clock on the wall. Suddenly, you hear slow footsteps coming from another room. You freeze. A few seconds later, the footsteps stop. You gather your courage and walk toward the sound, but when you open the door, the room is completely empty. There is no one there. Was it the old wooden floor making noise? Was it your imagination? Or was it something that science has not yet explained? This simple situation has happened to many people around the world, and it is one of the reasons the mystery of ghosts has survived for centuries. Long before modern science existed, ancient civilizations were already asking what happens after death. The Egyptians believed the soul continued its journey after the body died. The Greeks spoke about spirits traveling between worlds. In many Asian cultures, people believed some souls stayed behind because of unfinished promises, love, regret, or anger. As generations passed, these beliefs became legends, and those legends became ghost stories shared around campfires, inside homes, and later through books, newspapers, television, and the internet. Today, almost every country has its own haunted places and mysterious tales. Some stories have been explained through science, while others remain unsolved. This raises another important question. If ghosts are real, why has no scientist been able to prove their existence beyond doubt? For decades, researchers have used cameras, thermal imaging, audio recorders, motion sensors, and many other scientific instruments to investigate places believed to be haunted. Psychologists have studied how fear, stress, memory, and expectation affect the human mind. Neuroscientists have explored how the brain can sometimes create the powerful feeling that someone is standing nearby even when no one is there. Environmental scientists have discovered that unusual sounds, hidden air currents, low-frequency vibrations, and even certain gases can make ordinary places seem frightening. These discoveries have solved many famous ghost stories, yet not every mystery has disappeared. There are still eyewitness accounts that remain difficult to explain completely. Does that mean ghosts exist? Not necessarily. It simply means that some questions still do not have clear answers. Throughout this journey, we will separate facts from myths, evidence from assumptions, and science from superstition. We will explore famous haunted locations, real investigations, scientific experiments, and personal stories from people who believe they experienced something extraordinary. Some of these mysteries will have logical explanations, others may leave you wondering. So keep an open mind, think carefully about every piece of evidence, and join us as we begin our search for the truth behind one of humanity's oldest mysteries. Are ghosts real, or is the greatest mystery hidden inside the incredible power of the human mind? The journey begins now. Long before modern science existed, people tried to understand the greatest mystery of all, what happens after death. Since no one could return with clear proof, every civilization created its own beliefs about the human soul. In ancient Egypt, people believed that death was not the end, but the beginning of another journey. They carefully preserved the bodies of their kings and queens through mummification because they believed the soul would need the body in the afterlife. They placed food, clothes, jewelry, and valuable objects inside tombs, hoping these things would help the dead in the next world. Over time, stories spread that anyone who disturbed these tombs would suffer terrible misfortune. Many people believed these were ghostly curses, while modern historians and scientists later suggested that some events may have been caused by dangerous bacteria, poisonous gases trapped inside sealed tombs, or simple coincidence. In ancient Greece, people believed that the spirits of the dead traveled to another world. But they also believed that some souls could return if they had unfinished business or had not received a proper burial. Similar beliefs appeared in ancient Rome, where families honored their ancestors every year because they believed forgotten spirits might become restless. Across Asia, ghost stories became an important part of local traditions. In China, many families believed their ancestors continued watching over them, so they offered food and burned incense as a sign of respect. In Japan, ancient legends spoke about spirits known as yurei, souls that remained in the human world because of powerful emotions such as love, sadness, anger, or revenge. These stories inspired paintings, books, plays, and later, some of the world's most famous horror films. India also has thousands of years of stories about spirits, haunted places, and mysterious encounters. Some describe kind spirits protecting families, while others warn about dangerous beings that wander lonely roads or abandoned buildings after sunset. Whether these stories are true or not, they became part of culture and were passed from one generation to another. What is truly fascinating is that civilizations separated by thousands of kilometers often described very similar experiences. People from different countries, speaking different languages and following different religions, reported hearing footsteps in empty places, seeing dark human-shaped figures, feeling sudden cold air, or sensing that someone invisible was standing beside them. Why are these stories so similar? Some researchers believe this shows that ghosts may be real, while others argue that the human brain reacts to fear in similar ways regardless of culture or location. As centuries passed, ghost stories became even more popular. Every town seemed to have an abandoned house, an old castle, a forgotten cemetery, or a lonely forest connected with mysterious legends. Travelers shared strange experiences, writers turned them into books, and later filmmakers transformed them into unforgettable movies. Yet the question remained exactly the same. Were these stories based on real encounters, or were they simply the result of imagination mixed with fear and tradition? Today, historians study these ancient beliefs to understand how they shaped human civilization, while scientists continue searching for evidence that can separate fact from fiction. One important thing becomes clear when we examine history. The belief in ghosts is not limited to one country, one religion, or one culture. It is a mystery that has followed humanity for thousands of years. Some stories have disappeared after careful investigation, while others continue to puzzle researchers even today. This is why the mystery refuses to fade away. It survives because every generation asks the same timeless question but reaches a different answer. As we move forward, we will leave behind ancient legends and explore something even more interesting: modern eyewitness accounts from ordinary people who claim they experienced something they still cannot explain. Even in the age of science and technology, as the world entered the modern age, many people believed ghost stories would slowly disappear. After all, humanity had entered an era of electricity, airplanes, satellites, powerful computers, and scientific discoveries. Diseases that once seemed like curses could now be explained by medicine. Strange lights in the sky could often be identified as natural phenomena or human-made aircraft. Unusual sounds could be traced to animals, weather, or old buildings. It seemed that science was answering more questions every year, yet something unexpected happened. Reports of ghost sightings did not disappear. Instead, they continued to appear from every corner of the world. Ordinary people, including teachers, police officers, doctors, engineers, pilots, soldiers, and even a few scientists, claimed they had experienced events they could not explain. Some described seeing a dark figure standing silently at the end of a hallway before it vanished within seconds. Others reported hearing footsteps in empty houses, whispers when no one was nearby, or doors opening and closing without any visible cause. These stories came from people of different ages, cultures, and beliefs, making the mystery even more interesting. Were all of these people imagining the same things, or was there another explanation? One of the most common experiences reported by eyewitnesses is seeing what is often called a shadow figure. Witnesses usually describe a human-shaped silhouette standing in a doorway, walking across a room, or disappearing the moment they look directly at it. Scientists believe that under poor lighting conditions, the brain sometimes fills in missing visual information and mistakes ordinary objects or shadows for human figures. This ability, known as pattern recognition, has helped humans survive throughout history by allowing us to quickly detect possible danger, but it can also lead to false impressions. Another frequently reported experience is hearing unexplained footsteps. In many investigations, engineers discovered that old wooden floors naturally expand and contract as temperatures change, producing sounds that closely resemble someone walking through a house. Water pipes, heating systems, loose roof tiles, and strong winds can create similar noises, especially late at night when everything else is quiet. However, some eyewitnesses insist the footsteps seem to follow them from one room to another, making the experience difficult for them to forget. Another mystery involves people hearing their own name being whispered, even though nobody else is present. Psychologists explain that stress, grief, loneliness, sleep deprivation, and anxiety can sometimes cause the brain to misinterpret ordinary sounds or briefly create auditory experiences that feel completely real. This does not mean the person is dishonest or mentally ill. It simply shows how powerful the human mind can be. There have also been reports of several people experiencing the same strange event together. In some cases, families claim they all heard the same unexplained noise, while groups of friends reported seeing unusual lights or figures at the same time. Scientists point out that group expectations, shared emotions, and the power of suggestion can influence how people interpret the same event. Yet these cases continue to attract attention because they are not always easy to explain. Modern technology has also added a new dimension to the mystery. Security cameras occasionally capture strange movements, mysterious lights, or objects appearing to move on their own. Some photographs seem to show transparent figures or glowing shapes. Experts have explained many of these images as reflections, dust particles, insects flying close to the camera, lens flare, digital image processing, or camera errors. Even so, every year new photographs and videos appear online, with some quickly explained while others remain the subject of endless debate. This is where the mystery becomes truly fascinating. Personal experiences can feel absolutely real to the people who have them, yet science requires evidence that can be carefully tested and repeated before reaching a conclusion. So far, no ghost sighting has provided proof that satisfies the scientific community. Still, millions of people remain convinced by what they have personally seen, heard, or felt. The question therefore remains exactly where it has stood for centuries, balanced between belief and evidence, experience and explanation, curiosity and skepticism. As our journey continues, we will move beyond eyewitness stories and discover what happens when scientists themselves begin testing these mysterious claims through carefully designed experiments. Hoping to answer one of humanity's oldest questions using the power of modern science, eyewitness stories are fascinating, but science asks a different question. Instead of asking whether a ghost was responsible, scientists ask whether there is a natural explanation for what people experienced. This approach has led researchers from many fields, including psychology, neuroscience, physics, and environmental science, to investigate ghost reports for decades. Their goal is not to prove or disprove ghosts, but to understand why so many people around the world describe similar experiences. One of the first discoveries scientists made was that the human brain does not work like a video camera. It does not simply record everything exactly as it happens. Instead, the brain constantly interprets information, fills in missing details, and sometimes makes mistakes. Imagine walking through a dark room where only a little moonlight enters through the window. A chair with a coat hanging on it may suddenly look like a person standing silently in the corner. A tree moving outside may cast shadows that appear to be someone walking past the window. These experiences feel completely real because the brain is trying to make sense of limited information. This process is called pattern recognition, and it has helped humans survive for thousands of years by allowing us to quickly recognize possible dangers. However, this same ability can sometimes create frightening illusions. Scientists have also discovered that fear itself changes the way we experience the world. When we become frightened, our body releases adrenaline, our heartbeat becomes faster, our breathing changes, and our senses become more alert. Small sounds suddenly seem much louder, tiny movements attract our attention, and ordinary events begin to feel unusual. A quiet house at midnight can seem completely different from the same house during the day. Researchers have even performed experiments showing that when people are told a building is haunted before entering it, they are much more likely to report strange feelings than people who enter the same building without hearing the ghost story first. This suggests that our expectations can strongly influence what we notice. Another important area of research involves the human brain itself. Neuroscientists have found that under certain conditions, the brain can create the powerful feeling that someone else is standing nearby, even when nobody is actually there. This sensation has been reported by mountain climbers, explorers, sailors, astronauts, and people who spent long periods alone in difficult environments. Their experiences felt completely real. Yet careful research suggests the brain can sometimes produce this illusion when it receives unusual sensory signals or when a person is physically and emotionally exhausted. Sleep paralysis is another condition that has been studied for many years. During sleep paralysis, a person wakes up but cannot move for a short time. Many people also report seeing dark figures, hearing whispers, or feeling pressure on their chest. For centuries, these experiences were believed to be caused by ghosts or evil spirits. Today, doctors understand sleep paralysis as a natural part of the sleeping process, although it remains one of the most frightening experiences a person can have. Environmental scientists have investigated haunted places as well. In many old buildings, they discovered hidden air currents that created sudden cold spots, loose wooden beams that produced footsteps, and old pipes that made strange knocking sounds. Some researchers even studied low-frequency sound waves called infrasound, which humans cannot easily hear but may still feel. Certain studies suggest these sound waves can create feelings of discomfort, fear, or uneasiness in some people, although they do not explain every ghost report. Scientists have also examined electromagnetic fields created by faulty electrical wiring. A few experiments suggested that unusually strong electromagnetic fields might influence the brain under certain conditions, but later studies produced mixed results. And there is still no scientific agreement that normal electromagnetic fields cause paranormal experiences. One important lesson appears again and again throughout scientific research. The fact that an experience feels real does not automatically mean it has a supernatural cause. Human perception is incredibly powerful, but it is not perfect. Our brains constantly interpret information based on light, sound, emotion, memory, and expectation. This is why two people can witness the same event and reach completely different conclusions. One person may believe a ghost walked through the room, while another may believe it was only a shadow. Science continues searching for answers because curiosity is at the heart of every discovery. So far, no experiment has produced repeatable evidence proving that ghosts exist as supernatural beings. At the same time, scientists admit that not every unusual experience has been fully explained. This balance between evidence and mystery keeps the question alive even today. As technology continues to improve, researchers hope to better understand both the world around us and the remarkable human mind. In the next part, we will explore the real scientific experiments that were designed specifically to search for ghosts and discover what researchers found after years of careful investigation, if ghost stories have existed for thousands of years. An important question naturally follows. Has anyone ever tried to prove their existence through real scientific experiments? The answer is yes. For more than a century, scientists, psychologists, engineers, and independent researchers have carried out investigations to determine whether ghosts leave behind any measurable evidence. Their thinking is simple. If ghosts can move objects, create sounds, change temperatures, or interact with people, then these effects should be possible to detect with scientific instruments. During the early years of paranormal research, investigators relied mostly on notebooks, eyewitness interviews, and careful observation. However, as technology advanced, the methods became much more sophisticated. Today, many investigations use infrared cameras that can record in complete darkness, thermal cameras that detect changes in temperature, sensitive microphones capable of capturing very quiet sounds, electromagnetic field meters, motion sensors, vibration detectors, laser grids, and high-definition video cameras. Some teams even monitor humidity, air pressure, and air quality while investigating places believed to be haunted. Their goal is to remove guesswork and collect measurable evidence instead of depending only on personal experiences. One of the most famous methods is recording electronic voice phenomena, often called EVP. Investigators sit in silent rooms and ask simple questions such as, "Is anyone here?" or "Can you tell us your name?" They leave several seconds of silence before asking another question. Later, when they carefully listen to the recordings, some believe they hear faint voices answering back. Thousands of EVP recordings have been collected over the years, and many people consider them powerful evidence of paranormal activity. Scientists, however, offer another explanation. They believe the human brain naturally searches for familiar words inside random sounds, a psychological effect known as auditory pareidolia. This is similar to seeing shapes in clouds or faces on the surface of the moon. Controlled studies have shown that different people often hear completely different words in the same recording unless they are first told what to expect. Researchers have also investigated haunted houses using thermal cameras after witnesses reported sudden cold spots. In many cases, experts discovered hidden air currents, damaged insulation, old ventilation systems, or changes in air pressure that explain the temperature differences. Electromagnetic field detectors have also been widely used because some paranormal investigators believe ghosts can affect electrical energy. While unusual electromagnetic readings are sometimes recorded, engineers frequently trace them to faulty wiring, nearby electrical equipment, or natural sources rather than anything supernatural. Scientists have repeated these investigations many times under controlled conditions, but the results have not produced consistent evidence proving the existence of ghosts. Another interesting area of research involves the human brain. Some scientists wondered whether unusual experiences might be created by brain activity instead of external supernatural forces. In several experiments, volunteers were placed in carefully controlled environments with different lighting, sounds, and magnetic stimulation. A number of participants reported feeling that someone invisible was standing beside them, even though the room was completely empty. These findings suggest that under certain conditions, the brain can create experiences that feel completely real. However, not every volunteer experienced the same sensations, and later researchers were not always able to repeat the results exactly, showing how difficult this field of research remains. After decades of investigations and thousands of experiments, the scientific conclusion has remained largely unchanged. No experiment has produced repeatable, independently verified evidence that ghosts exist as supernatural beings capable of interacting with the physical world. At the same time, science does not claim to have solved every mystery. Researchers continue studying unusual experiences because curiosity is one of the driving forces behind scientific discovery. An event that cannot be explained today may be understood tomorrow as technology improves. Until stronger evidence is found, the mystery remains open, encouraging both believers and skeptics to continue asking questions. In the next part, we will move beyond laboratories and explore famous paranormal investigations from around the world, examining what investigators claim to find and how scientists responded to those remarkable discoveries, while scientists continued their work inside laboratories. Another group of people chose a very different approach. Instead of waiting for mysterious events to happen under controlled conditions, they traveled to places that had already gained a reputation for being haunted. These people became known as paranormal investigators. Their goal was simple: if ghosts really exist, perhaps they leave behind clues that can be captured with modern technology. Around the world, thousands of investigation teams have spent nights inside abandoned houses, centuries old castles, empty hospitals, forgotten prisons, ancient hotels, schools, churches, forests, and battlefields where strange experiences have been reported for many years. They usually arrive before sunset and remain until morning, carefully setting up cameras, digital voice recorders, motion sensors, thermal imaging devices, infrared cameras, electromagnetic field meters, and temperature monitors throughout the building. Every room is documented, every sound is recorded, and every unusual event is written down so it can later be examined in detail. One of the most common investigation methods is to sit quietly in complete darkness and ask simple questions such as, "Is anyone here?" or "Can you hear us?" after each question. Investigators remain silent for several seconds, hoping that if a spirit is present, it might respond. Later, they carefully listen to the recordings, searching for sounds that were not heard during the investigation itself. Some investigators claim they have captured mysterious whispers or short replies, while skeptics argue that background noise, distant sounds, and the human brain's ability to recognize speech patterns can easily create this impression. Another popular technique involves taking hundreds of photographs inside supposedly haunted buildings. Occasionally, investigators discover unusual lights, shadows, or transparent shapes in the images. Some believe these are ghosts, while photography experts often explain them as dust particles reflecting camera flashes, insects flying close to the lens, moisture in the air, reflections from glass, or lens flare. Similar debates exist over video recordings. Security cameras have sometimes captured doors opening by themselves, objects falling from shelves, lights turning on and off, or strange movements inside empty rooms. Engineers examining these cases frequently identify hidden drafts, uneven floors, loose hinges, electrical faults, building vibrations, or natural mechanical causes. Yet there are still recordings that remain difficult to explain because the original conditions cannot be recreated. This does not automatically prove paranormal activity, but it does leave investigators with unanswered questions. Many famous haunted locations have become centers of repeated investigations. Historic castles in Europe, abandoned hospitals in America, ancient temples in Asia, and old prisons in different parts of the world have attracted thousands of researchers, journalists, tourists, and curious visitors. Interestingly, not everyone who visits these places reports unusual experiences. Some people spend an entire night inside without noticing anything strange, while others describe hearing footsteps, seeing shadowy figures, feeling sudden cold spots, or sensing that someone unseen is standing nearby. Psychologists believe this difference may be influenced by personality, expectations, emotional state, and the environment itself. If a person enters a building already convinced it is haunted, they may become much more aware of every small sound or movement around them. This does not mean their experience is fake. It simply shows how powerful human perception can be. Television programs about ghost hunting have made paranormal investigations even more popular, introducing millions of viewers to advanced equipment and dramatic nighttime explorations. However, many scientists remind us that television is designed to entertain, and unusual moments often receive much more attention than the many hours when nothing happens. Scientific investigations require repeatable observations, careful analysis, and independent verification before any conclusion can be accepted. After decades of investigations across the world, no paranormal team has produced evidence that has been universally accepted by the scientific community as proof that ghosts exist. At the same time, many investigators remain convinced that they have witnessed events that cannot easily be explained. This continuing disagreement is one reason the mystery has survived for so long. Some people believe the evidence is already there, while others believe much stronger proof is still needed. Until that day comes, haunted places will continue attracting both believers and skeptics, each searching for answers to one of humanity's oldest and most fascinating questions. In the next part, we will examine many famous ghost stories that were eventually explained by science, showing how ordinary causes can sometimes create extraordinary mysteries. As scientific investigations became more detailed and technology continued to improve, researchers began solving many ghost stories that had frightened people for decades. Again and again, events that once seemed supernatural were eventually explained through physics, psychology, medicine, and careful observation. One of the most common examples involved old houses where families reported hearing footsteps late at night. Many believed invisible visitors were walking through empty rooms. However, engineers discovered that wooden floors naturally expand and contract as temperatures change between day and night. As the wood shifts, it creates sounds that closely resemble slow human footsteps. Similar discoveries were made in houses where people heard knocking inside the walls. In many cases, the sounds came from water pipes expanding as hot water moved through them, or from old wooden beams reacting to changes in temperature and humidity. Another mystery involved doors that opened or closed by themselves. While many people believed this was a sign of paranormal activity, investigators often found ordinary explanations such as hidden air currents, uneven floors, worn hinges, or differences in air pressure between rooms. Even a slightly open window could create enough airflow to slowly move a heavy wooden door. Scientists also examined reports of mysterious lights floating over fields, forests, and lonely roads. For centuries, these glowing lights were described as wandering spirits leading travelers into danger. Today, researchers know that some of these lights can be explained by reflections, distant vehicle headlights, atmospheric conditions, natural gases released from wetlands, electrical phenomena, or unusual weather patterns. Although not every report has been solved, many famous ghost lights have been linked to natural causes. Photography has also played an important role in ghost investigations. In the past, many people believed they had captured spirits on camera after discovering transparent figures, glowing circles, or strange faces in their photographs. Modern photography experts have shown that many of these images resulted from double exposure, slow shutter speeds, dust particles reflecting the camera flash, insects flying close to the lens, moisture in the air, lens flare, or digital image errors. The pictures appeared mysterious, but careful analysis revealed that ordinary physical effects could create surprisingly convincing illusions. Psychology has solved many mysteries as well. People who have lost a loved one sometimes report hearing that person's voice, feeling their presence, or briefly seeing them from the corner of their eye. Researchers studying grief explain that such experiences are surprisingly common and usually reflect the brain's natural response to deep emotional loss rather than evidence of ghosts. These moments feel completely real to the person experiencing them, making them powerful and unforgettable. Another well-known example is sleep paralysis, a condition in which a person wakes up but cannot move for a short period. During these episodes, many people report seeing dark figures standing beside the bed, hearing whispers, or feeling pressure on their chest. For centuries, these experiences were described as ghostly attacks. But modern sleep research has shown that they are connected to the natural process of waking, while parts of the brain are still dreaming. Environmental scientists have also uncovered hidden dangers inside some so-called haunted buildings. In several famous cases, investigators discovered carbon monoxide leaking from faulty heating systems. Exposure to this invisible gas can cause headaches, confusion, fear, dizziness, hallucinations, and the powerful feeling that someone else is present in the room. After the leaks were repaired, the mysterious experiences stopped completely. These discoveries remind us that environmental conditions can strongly affect human perception without people realizing it. Researchers have also demonstrated the power of suggestion through carefully designed experiments. Volunteers who were told they were entering a haunted building consistently reported more strange sounds, unusual feelings, and a stronger sense of being watched than volunteers who entered the exact same building without hearing any ghost stories beforehand. This shows that expectations can influence how the brain interprets ordinary events, Yet despite all these explanations, some reports still remain unsolved. Not because science has confirmed they were caused by ghosts, but because there simply is not enough reliable evidence to reach a final conclusion. An unexplained event is not the same as proof of the supernatural. It is simply a reminder that there are still questions waiting to be answered. This is what makes the mystery of ghosts so fascinating. Every solved case teaches us how easily ordinary events can appear extraordinary, while every unsolved case encourages scientists to keep searching for better answers. In the next part, we will explore those rare mysteries that continue to puzzle researchers even today and discover why some questions remain unanswered despite years of careful investigation. After examining history, eyewitness accounts, scientific research, paranormal investigations, and the many mysteries that were eventually explained, one important question still remains. Are there any ghost cases that science has not been able to fully explain? The honest answer is yes, but the meaning of that answer is often misunderstood. In science, an unexplained event does not automatically become proof of ghosts. It simply means that the available evidence is not strong enough to reach a reliable conclusion. Throughout history, there have been reports that continue to puzzle researchers because the events happened only once, the evidence was incomplete, the witnesses described different details, or the original conditions could never be recreated. Without repeatable evidence, science cannot confirm a supernatural explanation, but it also cannot claim with certainty what actually happened. This careful balance between curiosity and skepticism is one reason the mystery has survived for thousands of years. Around the world, there are stories of people who claim they saw a human figure suddenly disappear into thin air, heard voices inside completely empty buildings, or witnessed objects moving without an obvious cause. In some cases, several people reported experiencing the same strange event at the same time. Supporters of the paranormal believe these shared experiences are strong evidence that something beyond normal explanation may exist. Scientists, however, point out that groups can influence one another in subtle ways. Fear, expectation, and emotion often spread quickly from one person to another, causing several witnesses to interpret ordinary events in remarkably similar ways. Another category of mysterious reports involves people who sensed that a loved one was in danger moments before receiving unexpected news about an accident or death. Some believe these experiences suggest a connection that science has not yet understood. While psychologists argue that the human mind remembers the rare coincidences that come true and forgets the thousands of thoughts that never match real events, researchers continue to study these experiences because they reveal how memory, emotion, and probability interact in complex ways. Near-death experiences have also become an important area of scientific research. Some people whose hearts temporarily stopped before being revived describe seeing bright lights, feeling overwhelming peace, or believing they left their physical bodies. Neuroscientists have proposed several explanations involving changes in oxygen levels, brain chemistry, and neural activity during extreme medical emergencies. Although these experiences are deeply meaningful to those who have them, they do not provide scientific proof that ghosts or spirits exist. Instead, they remind researchers that the human brain still contains many mysteries waiting to be understood. Modern technology has solved many famous ghost stories, yet it has also created new challenges. Every year, thousands of photographs, videos, and audio recordings appear online claiming to show paranormal activity. Some are quickly explained as reflections, camera glitches, digital editing, lens flare, insects, or misunderstandings. Others remain controversial because the original files are missing, the recording conditions cannot be verified, or there is simply not enough information to determine exactly what happened. Scientists repeatedly emphasize that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, especially in an age when digital images and videos can be easily altered. One important lesson has become clear throughout every investigation. Science is not designed to reject mysteries, it is designed to investigate them carefully. Many discoveries that once seemed impossible eventually became accepted because convincing evidence was found. At the same time, countless extraordinary claims disappeared after careful testing revealed ordinary explanations. That is why scientists remain open to new evidence while refusing to reach conclusions without reliable proof. At this moment, there is still no repeatable scientific evidence demonstrating that ghosts exist as supernatural beings capable of interacting with the physical world. However, there are personal experiences and unusual reports that continue to inspire new research because not every question has been answered. Perhaps future discoveries will explain more of these mysteries, or perhaps they will reveal entirely new questions that we have not yet imagined. Until then, the mystery of ghosts remains exactly where it has stood for centuries, between belief and evidence, curiosity and skepticism, fear and reason. Whether ghosts are real or not, one thing is certain. The search for truth continues, and the greatest mystery may not be what hides in the darkness around us, but how much we still have to learn about the incredible human mind and the world we live in. After exploring history, science, psychology, eyewitness accounts, and countless investigations, we arrive at the final question. Why do so many people still believe in ghosts? The answer is more complex than it may seem. Belief is often shaped by personal experiences, family traditions, religion, culture, and emotions. A person who has never experienced anything unusual may rely completely on science and evidence. Someone who believes they have seen or heard something impossible may reach a very different conclusion. Neither side should be dismissed without careful thought. Science teaches us to ask questions and search for evidence, while personal experiences remind us that the human mind and the world around us are still full of mysteries. Throughout history, many events that once appeared supernatural were eventually explained through medicine, psychology, physics, and technology. At the same time, there are still reports that remain unexplained, not because they prove ghosts exist, but because there is not enough reliable evidence to reach a final answer. This is an important difference. An unexplained event is simply an unanswered question, not proof of the paranormal. Scientists continue investigating because every mystery deserves careful study, and believers continue sharing their experiences because they are convinced that what they witnessed was real. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this journey is that we should never allow fear to control our thinking, but we should also never stop being curious. Keeping an open mind does not mean believing everything we hear, and being skeptical does not mean rejecting every unusual story. The search for truth requires both curiosity and evidence. Maybe one day science will discover a natural explanation for every ghost story ever told. Or perhaps future discoveries will reveal something completely unexpected that changes our understanding of reality. At this moment, however, the most honest answer remains the simplest one. There is no scientific proof that ghosts exist, but there are still experiences that people sincerely report and that continue to be studied. The mystery is still open, and perhaps that is why it has fascinated humanity for thousands of years. Now the final question belongs to you. After hearing both sides of the story, what do you believe? Are ghosts truly real, or are they one of the greatest mysteries created by the remarkable human mind? Whatever your answer may be, continue asking questions, continue searching for evidence, and never lose your curiosity. Because every great discovery in history began with a single question. As our journey comes to an end, let us return to the question that brought us here in the first place. Are ghosts real? After traveling through thousands of years of history, listening to eyewitness stories, exploring scientific research, studying psychology, and examining real investigations, we have discovered something important. The world is rarely as simple as it first appears. Throughout history, people from every culture have shared stories about mysterious figures, strange voices, haunted places, and experiences they could never forget. Some of these stories were later explained by science. Others were found to be misunderstandings, natural events, or the incredible work of the human brain. Yet a small number of cases still remain unanswered, not because they prove ghosts exist, but because there is not enough reliable evidence to explain exactly what happened. Science has made one thing very clear. Until today, no repeatable experiment has provided convincing evidence that ghosts exist as supernatural beings capable of interacting with the physical world. Every extraordinary claim must be supported by extraordinary evidence, and that evidence has not yet been found. At the same time, science does not claim to know everything. The history of science is filled with mysteries that were once impossible to explain, but later became understood through better technology and deeper research. That is why scientists continue asking questions instead of assuming they already have every answer. Curiosity has always been the first step toward discovery. This mystery teaches us another valuable lesson. Fear can sometimes make ordinary events seem extraordinary, while curiosity encourages us to search for the truth. A strange sound in the middle of the night may have a simple explanation, or it may inspire a new investigation. The important thing is not to jump to conclusions too quickly. Instead, we should observe carefully, think critically, and remain open to evidence wherever it leads. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one fact cannot be denied. The mystery has become part of human history. It has inspired stories, books, films, scientific studies, and endless conversations across generations. Perhaps the real reason ghost stories have survived for so long is not because they answer our questions, but because they remind us how much we still do not know about life, death, memory, consciousness, and the incredible human mind. The unknown has always fascinated us, and it continues to do so today. Maybe one day a new discovery will finally settle this debate. Until that day arrives, the question remains open, inviting each new generation to explore it with both imagination and reason. So, after hearing every side of this mystery, the choice is now yours. Do you believe ghosts are real, or do you think every ghost story has a natural explanation waiting to be discovered? There may not be a single answer that satisfies everyone, but asking thoughtful questions is far more valuable than accepting easy answers. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of humanity's oldest and most fascinating mysteries. If you enjoyed this story and would like to explore more mysteries, history, science, and unexplained phenomena, be sure to stay with Learn English with me, Fizz. Until our next story, keep your mind open, keep asking questions, and remember that every great mystery begins with a single moment of curiosity. Good night and take care.